Hey everybody, my name is Nicholas Baker and I have a story for you. So my dad, love him as I do, is not necessarily the most responsible person in the entire universe. Let me give you two stories on why. So once upon a time, this is when I was younger, about 10 or 11, we're riding jet skis, wave runners, ski-doos, sea-doos, whatever you want to call them, and we're at Lake Powell. And so we're riding these, we're having a party, and he hits a wave wrong, and so we all shoot off it. And I don't mean like, oh no, I fell off the sea-doo. I mean, it was like a ricochet. It was like, wow! Like, I was flying. I was pretty excited. I was pretty cool. Anyway, so I hit the water and I black out for a minute, but when I open my eyes, I see this light, and it's like white and shimmering. And I'm like, I'm dead! What is... Seriously? I'm 11! Like, I had so much... Oh, am I supposed to move towards the light? So I, mosey on towards the light, and I break the surface, and I was under the water, and apparently from under the water, the sun looks super white, and so I was like, oh, I'm alive! And so I look at my mom, and she's like, you almost killed my child. And she's just, oh, she went like full mama bear. It was so great. I was laughing pretty hard. It was kind of like one of the best times of my life. Another fantastic story is actually only about a year later. When I decided to go on a camping trip with the, Boy Scout things, we went over to Kings Peak, which is like a 50-mile hike. And so we started out, we have our backpacks on, and I'm not exactly the sort of kind of person that likes to, move. And so I got a little lazy, and I sort of fell behind the first group. We had two groups, so if you fell behind the first one, you'd be caught by the second one. And so I fall behind the first group, but I'm still in front of the second group. And we get to this huge overpass, and I almost died. It was horrible. No, we'll never do it again. Anyway, so I get to the top, and I'm like, in my 12-year-old brain, the thought process is, I'll take a nap. That'll make everything better. So I fall asleep. And I wake up maybe 10 minutes later, and I'm like, cool, full of energy, 12-year-old, eat like a candy bar, and I'm like, yeah, let's do this. Anyway, so I start going down, and I lose track of the trail, and I'm like, I totally know where I'm going, so I start to wander aimlessly around this canyon, and I get so lost, and the sun is going down, so I finally, find this rocky spot, and I'm like, I'll just sleep here. This is perfectly normal. I'm not freaking out at all. I can almost guarantee the same cannot be said for everybody else in my, hiking group, but I wasn't afraid at all. I thought everything was going perfectly fine. So I roll out my sleeping bag, I'm eating some chips, and I look at my arm, and we all have these things called lost whistles. So we can blow them so they can find us. And so I'm just sort of sitting there, but it's getting dark now, and so I don't want to wake anybody up. So I bring the whistle to my lips, and I'm like, don't wake anybody up. And in a 12-year-old's brain, now the thought process is people die from being lost. I don't want to die. I already almost died from freaking being plunged underwater from a freak wave runner accident. I'm gonna die, so I start blowing it at the top of my lungs, and then they end up finding me, and they're like, don't you ever do that. I had to have 5 people following me for the rest of the camping trip to make sure I wouldn't get lost again. Yeah, I know, party. So the camping trip ends, we all head back home. I get into my house and I run up to my mom and I'm like, Mom, were you following the signal? Because we have a little signal thing that shows the parents at home exactly where we are. And she's like, yeah, but I think something went wrong on the first day. The signal went all over the place, and I was like, yeah, they lost me. I was wandering aimlessly, and they were trying to find me. And my dad turns, crimson from being so embarrassed. And my mom, looks up and goes, you lost him? He's like, well, that's not really fair. He ran away. And she's like, you lost him? I sent you on this camping trip for only one reason, and that's because I knew he would get lost. And I'm like, By now, I'm totally oblivious to the fact that they're arguing. I'm like, I'm gonna go and shower. I feel gross. And so I like wander downstairs. It's like, you lost him! And I'm like, wait. This isn't my fault. Cool. I'm so awesome. It isn't my fault. And because this is me, I have to have at least one work story. You all know where I work. I've said it at least once by accident. So I'm sitting at work and I'm at my register and it's like a Sunday at like 10 p.m. No one is there. So I'm sitting there and my brain sort of gets dizzy so I can like feel myself starting to rock back and forth, and then all of a sudden I'm falling. And my brain's like, oh no, falling. And it like sends like the signal to my arms like, extend, save us. And I swear my arms are like the sassy, they're like, help your own self. And so I'm falling and I like hit the ground like full blast, nothing stops me, and I'm like bang, and I like stand back up, and the other register's like, are you okay? And I was like, yes, I think that's the right answer. And so my boss comes over to me and he's like, what even just happened? And I'm like, I'm fine, like, think I might have a concussion, but you know, whatever. It was a party. So those are my stories for today. Hope you enjoyed them, and have a wonderful day.